Hey there, Roller Crew. It is your girl here, Nicole B from Hands and Plan Travel. I'm about to take you on my journey as to why I became a travel agent. So let's start at the beginning. Well, my first party, I was 12 years old. Yes, 12 years old. I threw my first event. Someone got pregnant in eighth grade, and I decided to have a party because we should celebrate. Why not? Fast forward, I started doing little baby showers in between, started doing little trips. Lo and behold, 1996, I had my first child. I had always said to myself that I wanted my kids to get on a plane when they're going to be by 8 years old, and I stuck to that. But my first actual plane ride was in 2007. I was 27 years old, so it was 2000 something. Anyway, that's my first plane ride down to Cherry Point, North Carolina. I got on a big plane, then I got on a smaller plane, and I was like, "Whoa, what's going on?" Fast forward, took my son to Springfield, Massachusetts when he was 8 years old. And then we started doing small trips in between. Around 2006, I joined this travel group. And this travel group was the best travel group. There's never going to be a travel group like this one. We went everywhere across the United States and Mexico and other places. And it was the best thing I could have ever joined. We became family. I can go to any state now and be like, hey, I'm in your town, what's going on, let's get together and have some drinks or what have you. So shout out to CJO, Lush Life Secret Society, where we call ourselves now. We're a little bit older because this is about 30 years ago, but we're still, still young and vibrant. We still try to get together when we can. So after I joined that group, I also had started my own social group, Philly Diva Socialites. It grew into a large women's group of about 200 people, from diverse backgrounds, and we started doing dinners. We did happy hours. We did some traveling, some self help stuff, and we also vacationed together. At that time, I actually had, I think, three travel agents within my group. So they would put together trips for the group, and they would go to Puerto Rico, Mexico, and did a bunch of other places and what have you. Here I am just still planning these big, large events for my divas, anniversary events. Again, anything we can celebrate, we're going to celebrate. So, after incorporating the diva stuff, and then I decided, you know what? I started doing these women wine weekends, for Mother's Day to honor, myself as being a mother and my mother as well, who don't have the best relationship or didn't have the best relationship, but still want to just be able to, occupy my time and my space with doing something I enjoy doing. So we did a lot of wine weekends, around Mother's Day. We would go somewhere every single year. Um, Also, in between there, I would do trips with my son. Then I had another son. We would kind of do a bunch of things together, travel. I would build itineraries for people, for myself. My friends know that when they travel with me, they're going to get a pamphlet that's going to tell you everything from top to bottom. So again, I'm doing these trips and I'm enjoying them, and we're going places. We went to Puerto Rico, we went to Sandestin, Orlando, Tampa, California, Virginia, Massachusetts, Chicago, Indianapolis. So I'm doing all these different things and what have you. And everyone kept saying to me, like, Nicole, you need to really be a travel agent. You really need to be a travel agent. And for me, my apprehension was the fact that I didn't want to do no mid-level marketing because I'm not one that's going to sell you anything. Either you want to come with me or you don't. I'm not going to be like, oh, let me pull your arm. No, you should join. You should join. You should be a travel agent, and you have no experience, or you even like traveling, or you've never traveled ever before. So for me, it was like I didn't want to do that, and I wasn't, again, really. I was fine doing what I was doing in the space and places that I was doing it in. So I didn't really make a big issue out of it. Then fast forward about maybe about 4 years ago, I was like, you know what? I think I need to be a travel agent, at least part time. I don't think I'm going to do it full time because I do love what I do. So, started doing more trips and then kind of putting some, fee to every trip that I did, making some money off the back. And not a lot, but it was more like, hey, it covered my airfare or it might have covered my hotel or something like that. My friends know the amount of effort that I put into it. If you check out my website, you'll see all my testimonies. But they know the effort and the time that I put into doing these trips. And when they come together, they're basically flawless. Everything's there. They don't have to ask any questions. If they do ask questions, they know I fuss at them, but everything is basically there for them to, at their leisure, to review and ask questions prior to the trip. So, again, still doing a lot of, USA travel, some Mexico, some Puerto Rico, some Jamaica, traveling or what have you. Then I decided in 2022 to go on a cruise. Now, I was so against cruising. Here's the reason why. When I go anywhere, I like to see what that city or state has to offer, whether it's a museum, whether it's something monumental, whether it's something historic, whether it's a food, food or anything that, just something that makes that city what that city is. I always felt like going on cruises that these port stops limited me to the amount of time I can be in that space and place. And I was like, nope, I'm not doing it. I don't want to spend 8 hours X, Y, and Z. I want to stay there overnight and do blah, blah, blah. So 2022, me and my mate, my boyfriend, we finally decided let's go on a cruise. We did our first cruise in Royal Caribbean. I had a great time. It was cold though because it was December 2022, and it was really cold even in Orlando. So it was a good time. Got a chance to feel it. Had some little waves and whatnot, but again, didn't wouldn't say I wouldn't do it again. Went on another cruise a year or so later. Went on another Royal Caribbean cruise, and we did Utopia of the Seas. Me and my son for Christmas. Enjoyed it. Had a great time. All right, cool. Let's see what else is out there. So me and my boyfriend decided because our birthday's around Christmas time, let's go on a Virgin Voyages cruise. And we went on a Virgin Voyage, no, yeah, Virgin Voyages cruise, and we went to Key West and Bimini. Matter of fact, that wasn't Christmas; that was in March of whatever year. Went on a Virgin Voyages cruise, went to Key West and Bimini. I was like, oh, this is pretty nice. All right, cool. Enjoyed ourselves. Food was great. Had a great time. Fast forward, decided to go on another one for Christmas. Went on a Christmas one. Love that one as well. Again, all I keep hearing from my friends is be a travel agent because in between these trips, I'm still doing other trips. We went to St. Augustine for Mother's Day. I did a couples trip to Orlando. So I'm still doing, my thing on the side. And I stumbled upon this YouTube page, and I was like, oh, let me, see what these people are about. Very good folks. Love their vibe, love their information. Shout out to Life with Us TV. Loved all that they had to offer as far as information is concerned. Like, oh, this seems, pretty cool. They were talking about what they're doing, not really mentioning, who they work for, what have you, just mentioning, the travel business. And I was like, maybe it's time to delve into that travel business world because number one, I'm getting some resources and information from another person. And it's not like I couldn't have reached out to other friends who I know that are in these travel agency, MLMs or what have you. But for me, again, I just kept feeling like I don't want to be bombarded with a bunch of weekly meetings like, oh, did you meet this quota? Did you reach out to this person? I really wanted something that was free for me to kind of just, and not free in cost, but free for me to kind of just be free flowing where I'm just kind of doing my own thing. When I want to do it, how I want to do it, as often as I want to do it. So, went ahead and just started doing some more research and what have you. Stumbled upon a class that they had. I took the class. I listened to the information. Like, okay, this might be the right fit for me because it allows me to be independent. I'm not being bombarded with a bunch of information, and I can pretty much, do what I do. So, for me, it was like, all right, this is the right choice, and I'll talk about that in the next video. But for me, I love to plan. People know at my home I have parties all the time. I'm doing cookouts. I'm doing women's wine down Wednesdays. I'm doing barbecues, themed barbecues. I do an annual Christmas Eve party every year. My people come from all over just to come to the party. When I lived in another area of Philadelphia, I would do a moonlight barbecue every July, and it would be like it just would be amazing. So I've always loved to plan. I also love to research. So it's not just about, oh, I want to be a travel agent. I'm going to just go in here and book this stuff. I like to make sure that my folks have a great time, that they have all the information that they need to have a great time. So, for instance, we went to Napa Valley in 2022, going back again this year in August. And I must have went through about 300 different wineries just to make sure that my guests had the types of wine that they like and that everybody was satisfied. We did a lot of sightseeing, but again, I put it all together. I mapped it all out, did the transportation, make sure the logistics were in place for us to kind of move freely and move slowly and methodically through our wineries, have enough time to, drink, taste, eat, and what have you, and purchase stuff if we like. So I just have a love for planning. And, you tell me, hey, Nicole, I want to do X, Y, and Z. I'm like, oh, I'm already on it. So and that's just how I am. I just like really, really, really like to plan stuff, and I like people to have a good time. Shout out to my aunt, may she rest in peace. She was an avid party entertainer at our family events. We had games flowing, we had food. So I've always kind of brought that into my own home because I didn't grow up with that in my home. It was more so my outside family and my, extended family on my mother and father's side who did the partying. So for me, it was just, again, it's just always been instilled in me to do it. And I just finally said, you know what, I'm just going to pull the trigger and I'm just going to become a travel agent. Um, Unbeknownst to me, I went back to school to get my MBA. So I'm kind of getting my MBA, having this burning desire to, start the travel stuff. And I'm like, okay, I can't do both at the same time. So let me just, keep doing my own research, keep planning my own events until I'm really able to delve into the trainings that are going to take place for this travel business. So I knew I was graduating in April of this year. So I said, you know what, I'm going to go ahead. I think in March, I just went ahead and signed up with my agency and said, you know what, this is going to be it. This is what I'm going to do. And as soon as I'm finished, school, I'm going to jump right in and I am going to start the training. So next episode, we are going to talk about what agency I chose and the training that it involves. So, again, this is Nicole B from Hands in Plan Travel.